Hello everyone, Ceri the Crafter here, that's Ceri the Crafter, and you may recognise these papers from a previous video where I did make them, and you know why I made them, but if you're watching this and you have no idea what I'm talking about, let me clue you in a bit. Okay, I was recently in Chicago, Illinois, America, and when I was over there, what I wanted to do was I wanted to buy some of these composition notebooks. Now, I can't get these in the UK, or if I do, I have to pay an exorbitant amount of shipping for them. So I picked up a few when I was over there because they're really quite handy. I chose the ones that are made in Vietnam because I was told they're the best ones by the YouTubers, mainly because they're nicely stitched down the middle, and I like the fabric almost rubberized edge to them. So the reason I wanted a few of these besides other projects is because this is the way I'm currently storing ideas and things for future videos, and it's just not working for me. I've got bits of note paper stuck all over the place. I've got post-it notes, I've got index cards. I want to put them all in one place, and this isn't working for me. However, I thought if I just have a notebook that I can just use, then that will be perfect. Now, I'm going to put this into, besides my playtime with PM Artist Studio, so I'm going to put it into the Journaling for Beginners folder as well, or playlist as well. Not because this is a journal, it's just going to be a covered composition book, but this could turn into a glue book. This could turn into an art journal. I've seen people turn them into their own planners. I've seen people turn these into journals. So I know that things can be done with these. It's just not my intent. The one thing I am very aware of, however, is the paper is really thin. So if you look, you can actually see, can you see? I can see it. Maybe you can see it. You can see the text underneath, and apparently there is some bleed through. Now, if you're writing on one side, that's not going to worry me in the slightest, because the way I'm going to use this is I'm going to write on this page, and then I'm going to stick the project, whichever project it is, I'm going to stick it to this page, so it's not going to bother me. However, I have seen lots of people, and they will glue 2 or 3 pages together, especially if they're doing it as a planner or an art journal, to stop bleed through and also to thicken up the pages. A couple of things I've learned from those people is, if you're going to cover your pages, don't cover it any more than about to that line, because the more you wrap stuff down into the spine here, the more you're going to fatten up this spine. Now, I haven't seen anyone on YouTube tell me that the spine has burst or pages have fallen out, and that was one of the factors that really made me want to do this. I've seen some really fat ones, and basically the spine just expanded because of this covering. So, but I think in all fairness, I will show you how to actually glue 2 pages together, just so you know what the process is, just so that if you do want to make it into a journal, an art book, or a planner, or something, an ideas book that's more than just single pages, then you can do it. So first of all, get yourself a sheet of something to protect your pages underneath. Then I'm going purely by what I've seen other people do, guys. I'm using a glue stick. Nearly every one of them that I've seen do this process has used a glue stick because it's not as wet as a wet glue. So then they've come in and they put the glue on all of the page. Now, another thing that people who make planners and books out of composition notes books, they also, after they've glued their pages together, they've used washi tape and glued it down this edge of the joined pages, and that actually strengthens that edge of that page and also makes it a little more attractive. Right, I think I've got enough on there. And then what you do is basically pull this, oh, it's already done it, bad pages, pull that aside. Basically what you're trying to do is you're trying to pull this as tightly as you can so that it will meet the other page. Also come in with some sort of scraper and smooth it out, and that will spread the glue out. It will also get rid of any air pockets or air bubbles. Every single person I've seen who done this has said you will end up with wrinkles in your page. It depends on what you're planning to use it for as to whether that bothers you or not. If it was a collage book, it wouldn't bother me because obviously I'd be sticking papers over the top of this. If it was actually for a planner, I probably wouldn't bother about it anyway. So just know that there are some things you're not going to be able to do, and one of them is you're never going to be able to get all of the wrinkles out of here because of the nature of the paper. You have to respect that this paper isn't meant to be glued together. So know that. Anyway, I diverse. I'm going into making this into a journal or a planner when I don't need to. So anyway, that's what you need to know. And then what you do is you'd repeat the process for the third page. When you've got 3 of them stuck together, you then start the process again. And that's how people glue them together. That's not what I'm doing. I've done it with the front one just because I want to share it with you. So what I want to do is I want to cover these pages or these covers in these prints that are made for it. Now I've been looking through these and I'm thinking I would like these as the inside, the teal sort of greenish colour, and I want the blues and the purples and the golds on the outside. So the first thing I need to do is obviously cut them down. Now the size of the book cover that I need to cover is just a hair over 6.5 inches by 9 3/4. Okay, and then we'll do the measurements for the inside separately. So I have to bring my pieces down to that size. Now, if that's 6.5 and that's 9 3/4, I think I'm going to make this 6 3/4. So I need to grab a pencil for myself. 6 3/4, and I think I'm going to make this 10. I'm going to make it 10. Only because that way I'm going to trim off the pages and the covers once they're glued in place. And I want to do that because when things like this are manufactured, you can't always guarantee that this is an exact rectangle an exact 90-degree corner. So what I want to do is I want to go in and I literally will just trim the page afterwards, and I'll just use a really sharp scalpel or a knife to do it. I could even use the scissors. So let's have a look at what parts of these. So let's just deal with the front page first. Which one do I want as the front page? I quite like that as the front page actually. So now don't forget I can trim this down because this is 12 by 12, so I can cut this in any way, shape or form. However, I quite like that down there. So if that was, I'd have that as my sort of cover. Or I could bring it down a bit I suppose and have, ooh, I'm undecided. Actually I quite like that. So I need to get my guillotine out. So if this is the orientation I wanted in, let's bring in my guillotine, because you know me, I'm not a trimmer person. So, right, so I need it to be 6 3/4 wide. So I'm going to turn this around, slot this through, and 6 3/4. That'll give me more than enough for the width. So see, I've got enough for the cover and a little bit to trim off. And I said I wanted it 10 inches tall. So I might take, if I do that, if I take an inch off either end, because I quite like the middle section. So there you go. So that gives me a piece to work with. Okay, now what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to cut the other one to this size. So again, it was 6 3/4 by 10. And I want this side. Do I want this side? No, I want this. Indecision here, guys. Yeah, let's do 6 3/4. And I think I'm going to do what I did before, which is take an inch off the top and an inch off the bottom. Now, the nice thing about doing this, of course, is I have offcuts, which means these can become pockets within the cover if I want to. And these are obviously strip scraps, which will just go into my pattern scrap pile, which is fine for future use. So, right, let's take that and that out of the way. So let's put that down. Now I'm not going to do both covers with you here. I'm going to do one, then I'm going to pause, and I'm going to come back, purely because you don't need to see repetition, repetition, repetition. So I'm going to do the front cover. Or do I like it that way around? I like it that way around. I'm going to do the front cover, and then I'm probably going to flip round and do the back cover with you not here. Then I'll come back and we'll do the inside. So what I'm going to do, you can glue these down. I'm still undecided which way I want this. You can glue these down. I'm not going to glue them down. I'm actually going to use double-sided tape for this. Right, I think I like it that way best of all. Now I have noticed what's bothering me is, as you can see, the edge of that ribbon is just ever so slightly not straight. So I think to manage that, I'm just going to come in with a Sharpie and a ruler, and I'm going to put an extra line of black down there. Just, I would if I could get the Sharpie in there. Just because that little bit of a variant will just annoy me. And I think it's annoying me that the black Sharpie doesn't want to work on a slippery surface. There you go. That'll just take away the distraction of the white and the green, although no one is going to see that except me, but it's me. So, right, now what do I use for double-sided? I use quite heavy-duty double-sided tape, and I get it from my hardware store. There's another brand that I found out there as well, and it's carpet tape, although this is really, really strong. I love using this stuff, but the thing you need to remember with double-sided tape is when it's on, it's on. There's no getting away from it. You've stuck it down, you've really stuck it down. So just be a little cautious. I've also bought in a thinner one because I've done some measurements and I know that I can't get the exact width. I'm going to do one from this side, one from this side, put another strip, and I think I end up with a little bit in the middle, which is fine with me. So I do hope I don't headbutt the camera when I'm doing this. But I need to get reasonably close. So I'm going to come in, I'm going to put the double-sided tape. That was luck. So double-sided tape right up against the black here. And where's my scissors gone? Let's take a pair of scissors and just snip this off. I'm not worried that it's absolutely snipped off flush to the cover, because to be honest with you, that actually doesn't bother me, because obviously I have to trim the edges anyway. I'm going to come in, I'm going to put another strip down this edge, hopefully being as close as I can to it. I'm going to come in with another one. Stop, stop, stop. Oh, you've got to be careful with this stuff. It'll almost suction up the cover underneath while you're trying to work on it. Let's snip that off. Coming from this side. Now, as you can see, this has left me a thin strip down the middle. Thin strip down the middle doesn't matter. I'm going to use a piece of thinner tape, or I'm going to use a piece of red tape, red liner tape, which is actually the right width for this. If you do have an area here where your tape gap is not the correct dimension, you can always cut down a bit of double-sided tape to fit, but I'm lucky that the red liner tape I've got, if I can get it started, will fit just nicely down the middle of there, and I'm not worried about it. There you go. So we've got the first step. Let's just snip that off there. Now, at this point, I could go around and cut all of the... Actually, let's do that. Let's now go around and cut off these extra areas of tape, purely because it'll just make it a little easier. I haven't done one of these before, guys, so this is sort of a learning curve for me as well. So I'm just going to come in and remove these excess pieces. They will get trimmed up neatly when I actually take the scalpel round, but so I don't have bits of double-sided tape flapping all over the place. Hopefully I'm in screen. So as long as I don't have pieces of tape flapping around all over the place, I'll be happy. Getting off my fingers would be even happier. Get off, there you go. I'm going to come in and I'm just going to... Can you see me? There you go, sorry. I try my best to stay in shot, but I don't always succeed. Now this is a great way, by the way, to do exercise books for the kids going back to school. If you want to give them something unique to have going back to school, something that looks a little more special for them. I mean, just, it's a nice way of doing it. It also means that they become proud of their schoolwork because they've got it in a very, very special book. Now I'm going to use a store card just to burnish this down, just so I've got no air bubbles underneath it and it's all nicely in place. Now this is the bit that I just want to make sure I've got the right one. I've got it in the right orientation. Again, once this goes down on the double-sided tape, guys, it's down for good. So, which is why I've given myself a little bit of leeway as far as the overhang at the edges. So I'm going to come in now, and I find it's easier for me to take the backs of things like this off with a scalpel or a sharp knife. Come on, up you come. It's usually the red liner tape that's normally the trickier of them to take up. I find that this carpet tape or the industrial double-sided tape from my hardware store comes up really quite quickly, or quite easily, should I say. Right, everything's up. Now I'm not going to talk for a second because I need to make sure I get this right. Whew, I can breathe now. Okay, it was really important to line that edge up as you saw, and now you can see I've got an innards there, which is fine. I'm going to go over this. I'm just going to press this down a bit. I'm going to use my store card. Now, I don't push this way because I could damage the paper. I'm going to smooth it this way so that I'm sliding over the painted surface, not pushing. If I do this, I'm likely to take some of that paint off. I'm okay with that. So the next stage now is to actually trim this off. Where's my little cutting board? There you go. So I'm going to take a cutting board and I'm going to come along. Now this does have an edge I could rest my knife up against, although I do like to use a ruler. So am I still in shot? Pretty much so. So I'm going to line my metal ruler up along the edge of this. This should prevent me slipping, famous last words. I do use a really sharp blade for this, so be really careful, anyone out there using a blade, because obviously it's a really sharp blade. So let's give me my one edge. And my next edge. I'm going to come down this way for this edge. Now, I'm sure there are other ways of doing this, guys. This is just the way that made sense to me. I went, you know, I can do that. And obviously I can because I've just done it. Now, when it comes to these here, you do have the option of cutting them with a rounding punch, a round cutter, although once you've got 3 thicknesses of card on there, you're probably not going to be able to do it anyway. So I'm just going to come in with a little pair of scissors, which my scissors are rather glued up at the moment. I have to clean those afterwards. And I'm just following that curve around. And just following that curve around. So there you go. So I now have my front cover of my book. I could put a label on here. I could finish off. I could even put Tim Holtz corners or metal corners on this if I really chose. But that gives me the front cover. So as I said, I'm going to turn you off for 2 seconds. A little bit longer for me, obviously. And I'm going to do the back cover and then we'll come back and we'll do the insides. So bear with me, guys. See you in 2 seconds. So here I'm back again. You saw the front. I did exactly the same with the back cover. And I think you'll agree it's certainly changed the personality of that and made it something that is mine. And I love that. So as I said, if you want to do this as a gift maybe for a student going off to college, or maybe the kids going to school, or even just for a notebook for yourself for work, something that makes it a little less than what it was, a little more than what it was before, because I bought these composition notebooks around about 64 cents in Target in Chicago. I went to the Jewel, which is a grocery store for people who haven't been to America, and I found exactly the same notebook. I mean, identical, and it's about 3 times the price. So shop around. They're all exactly the same composition notebooks, and then tickle it up. So right, we're going to look at the insides now. Now, I don't want to put my papers all the way to there, because if I do that, then I'm immediately beginning to put more stress on that spine there. So I'm going to come to maybe just about a centimetre away. So I'm going to keep the height of 10 inches, because that was easy for me. And if I look at this, if I take this to 7 inches, that gives me enough of a spine down there that it's not encumbering this. So I'm looking for 7 inches by 10. So let me put my book to one side and bring in my inside covers. Let's pop the old guillotine in again. So it's time to have a little think of this. Let's do this one first. So 7 by 10. So that's going to be my inside, so I need that to be 7. And with this one, we won't be trimming off the outer edge, we'll only be trimming off the inside edge. So I'm going to do, again, I'm going to go by 1 inch off the top, 1 inch off the bottom, because then if there's any painted areas I've missed, slicing them off will actually make it a fully painted surface. So that's one inside, nice bit of spare for pockets and stuff like that. And then coming over to this one, I quite like this side. Actually, I like that side. I think I like this side. So I'm going to go to 7 inches here. This will be for the inside of the back cover. And I'm going to take 1 inch off the top and 1 inch off the bottom. I don't know why I'm set on that. If there was a specific print or something on this page, then I might consider where I trimmed it to. But to be honest with you, I quite like the idea of that. So again, could make inside pockets or tucks with that. And we might actually consider that once this is done. So again, nice bits for the scrap box. So now, this is going to be slightly different in what I need to do. Because remember, I now know that I'm only going up to 7 inches here. So I'm actually going to come in with a pencil. If I can find a pencil, there's a pencil. And I'm going to mark 7 inches. Well, actually, I'm going to mark just slightly shy of 7 inches, to be honest. Just so that maybe 1 notch shy. 1 notch shy. Sorry, I didn't do that on screen, did I? There you go. And I'm going to draw a line down there, and that'll just tell me where the tape needs to go to. Double-sided tape. So therefore, I'm not going to have double-sided tape exposed, which is going to capture that. So back to the process again of double-sided tape, and trim. So I'll do the front cover with you, and then I will do the back cover without you. I know I'm going to get asked, how do I clean my scissor blades? I use alcohol, and a lot of the time I use these isopropyl wet swipes. I get them from Amazon, and they're just tiny little bits. They're the thing the doctor and the nurse wipes your arm with before they give you an injection. Or if you've got rubbing alcohol or isopropyl alcohol that you use maybe for another project. But just be careful, wipe the blades from the outside, don't wipe them from the inside, because obviously that and that are sharp edges. And that's how I clean them, and I learnt that from Gail Augustinelli. Thank you very much, Gail Augustinelli. That was a good way of keeping my scissors gunk free. Also, I use that sometimes on knife blades as well. So if I'm using a sharp knife and it's getting a bit gummy, I'll also use it on that as well. Now, I'm not sure what the gap is going to be in the middle. I may have to use 1 width of red liner tape. I may have to use 2 widths of red liner tape. I may need to use no red liner tape. So until I actually do the first one, I don't really know. And one more down here. I think that looks about 2 red liner tapes to me. Yeah, I'm going to do 2 red liner tapes down there, purely because I don't want this moving around on me, or I don't want it to come unstuck at any point. So let's just put a couple of red liners down there. Red liner tape and double-sided tape comes in a variety of widths. So you can cut it down, but it's a bit tricky to cut down red liner because it is so sticky. I think that's going to... Right, this is going to overlap this piece of double-sided here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to lift the cover off this side as the backing off this one before I put the red liner tape down. And that way I'm not sticking it to the back of the backing and then it's going to get lifted off when I pull off that backing. So therefore, just another little tip, if you do need to overlap tapes, take the back off the one you're sticking on top of, or else you're going to hit a problem. Okay, I've now got that on there. Let's lift this up. I'm going to come in and just snip off these edges, as I did before. Yeah, this is getting very gummy, this scissors. I may have to stop and clean if this doesn't clear up. Well, mind you saying that, I could just get away with it, I suppose. No, I'm not going to get away with it. I'm going to do the proper thing. So, trouble is I can't turn this over now, so I'm going to bring in another pair of scissors that's got a cleaner blade, and just, because you don't need to see me cleaning a blade. That would be just a little bit boring to watch. So, and we know we're going to trim the top and bottom edges up anyway. We're not going to trim this edge up because it's not going to need it. Let's swing this around and trim from the other side. That's one thing about this tape, it is uber sticky. But then that's exactly why I use it, because it is very, very sticky. So let's get that off my fingers. So I'm going to come in and finish off removing the rest of all of the tape. Now, as you can see, this is at just under the 7-inch line. So it means it will get covered in paper, but it won't expose any glue. Actually, rethinking this process, I might line my card up there instead of there, because it'd be easier to line it up there than it will there. So you're with me on the journey, guys. You're with me on the journey. I liked that as the inside edge, so I'm going to do it this way. So hopefully I won't get my head in the way for you guys. So just lay that on that line there and there. Ooh, I missed a bit. That was what I was hoping not to do. I won't be able to get that off. Okay, I guess I'm going to be putting a strip of washi down there. Note to self, make sure that it's the right width first. But you know what, you saw it here, guys. That's something else to watch out for. So, right. I need to come in now and trim these off. Where's my trimming board? Well, mind you, that can get covered up with the next part of the process, I just realised. So, maybe. I'm not sure. So, trim that off there. And trim that off there. And we did have a little bit to trim off here, but just a fraction, and that's because I didn't lay that down straight. That and that. I'm just going to trim around these little corners here, as I did before. Take that off there and there. So that's my outside and that's my inside. See that? I like that there because that means that I can close this. I'm not adding anything to that part there. It doesn't start till there, so I'm not stressing that spine out. So now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do the same thing on the back cover, the inside here, and then I'll come back and I'll show you the other thing I'm going to do down here, front and back as well. And that, ironically, will just tidy up that anyway, so I don't know why I'm worried about it, but it would have been nice to have done it right in the first place. So, okay, I'm going to let you go. I'll be back in 2 minutes, guys. So here I'm back again. Front and back cover's done. Inside the back and front cover's done. This one went far better than the front one, so maybe note to self, do the back cover first next time. And I wanted to show you how I'm going to cure this here. If I regarded it as a problem. To be honest with you, if I went round and distressed the edges, that would probably disappear anyway, so not overly worried, but I thought, you know, maybe you'd want to see how I cure it. So remember the spare pieces? I'm going to put a pocket down there to tuck stuff into. So let's see, how wide is this? Do I want this? I'm going to make a 3-inch pocket there, I think, just somewhere to tuck stuff into. So I'm going to grab my guillotine one more time. I like it that way round. That's 3 inches. Now I seem to remember this is 9 3/4 inches tall. So just leaning over there, 9 3/4 inches tall. This time I'm going to cut this down to the exact height. Let's take that down to 9 3/4. Because my intention is to stick this directly in place. Now, I'm wondering whether I need a thumb notch as well. So if I put that on there, good to measure it. That's fine. Could actually do with a little shave, a little bit more off that. I think maybe I didn't quite get it exact, so just going to take a little sliver off there. Just to, it'll be easier to alter it now than it will to look later. That feels perfect. Right, I want to put a thumb notch in there. I'm just getting a circular punch and roughly in the middle. I'm going to make a little thumb notch there just because that might be easier for me in the long run. Now, I'm going to use art glitter glue on this one. I don't think I'm going to have a problem with it. I'm wondering whether I need to curve the corners of this one. Now, have a look and see whether I can work out roughly which is the best fit for this. I think it's probably going to be the 7mm one, so I'm going to come in and just round the corners that will meet the cover, and then we'll do a little bit of a check to see whether that fits. Yep, I can live with that, that's fine. And then I'm just going to use art glitter glue because I trust art glitter glue. You can use whichever glue you choose for this. Just make sure it is quite a strong glue. Now the worst case scenario is if this comes undone, let's reglue it down again. I wouldn't, however, use, I'm putting a little bit more down this edge because that's where it's going to be open and closed each time. I wouldn't use double-sided tape on a pocket. For me, that's just asking for a disaster to happen, and I haven't had very much success attaching pockets with double-sided tape. I find that with wear and tear, they tend to, oops, move that over, Griffiths. They tend to come undone. Right, just press it all down into place. Give it enough time to bond. So that's one pocket. Do I want one at the back as well? I don't know, maybe I do. I'll just fold this one over, just press that down and make sure it's in. I quite like that. I'm not sure that I do want one. I mean, I could easily make one. Could even put one down there, just as something slightly different, couldn't I? But I'm not going to. I quite like the idea of only having one pocket at the beginning, so I can just tuck things under if I need them. I would use, if I were to put one on here, I'd do the same process. If I were to put one across here, I would make one 7 inches wide and attach it there in the same manner as I did that, but there. So I think that's enough actually, guys. Now my only job is to actually go through and write in all of the ideas and sort myself out and get my whole pile of other ideas sorted out to get into this book. So as I said, that's a really simple way to take just a regular composition notebook and make it into something a little special. Maybe someone who wants a book for the office, someone's a student, if you want to turn it into your planner, if you want to make it into your ideas journal. So I think that's a lovely idea. I mean, I'll probably put one of my labels on here just to say ideas. And now what I did is I bought 3 of these so that I know that over time, as one fills up, I'll have enough to make others. And guess what? I've got some really nice juicy scraps here I can do other things with. So hopefully you enjoyed that, guys. Just a little make, as I said. If you do want to see how I did the papers, in the description box below, or if there's a description that says see more, click on that. You will actually see in there, I'll put the link to the video where I made these papers via jelly printing, just so you get the full experience. If you really want to see these done, you can see them being done. So until the next time, guys, I'm Ceri the Crafter. That's Ceri the Crafter. So see you next time. Bye bye now.